But before we wrap, we also want to talk a little bit about, since we have a little bit of time, a couple of hot topics where we like to talk about the latest things that are happening out in the world of Web3 and NFTs. And since you are such a big NFT person yourself, the topic I do want to bring up and kind of talk on a little bit is Cristiano Ronaldo and Binance launched the CR7 Forever Zone collection, which offered fans exclusive NFTs and experience to share Ronaldo's legacy. So the CR Forever Zone is giving the world an innovative and unique experience to engage and interact on with one of the greatest players of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo. They're building on the success of the first two NFT collaborations, where they did a couple of limited edition mystery boxes and a few other things as well. Cristiano said that he's always felt incredible energy and support from the fans and wanted to engage and share with them in ways that bring them closer together. So this is a really cool collaboration. One of the best footballers out there. A lot of people in the world love him. And I think it's cool to find, sports athletes and all these other types of musician artists, et cetera, to be able to, in a way, see it as like a collector's item, the same way you have like a trading card or you have a way to have a unique experience with one of these people. I think this is a really cool type of collaboration. But when you hear stuff like this, what immediately like comes to your mind about this and potentially other ways that like more of these types of collaborations can happen?
I love that collaboration. I didn't know about it. I'm a big Ronaldo fan. I grew up training very seriously as an athlete. And so when I see athletes want to engage with Web3 and do something experimental, it's really exciting. I think two immediate things come to mind. The first one is something I talk about a lot with my peers at JDC, which is the largest gaming developer conference. It's usually in the spring in San Francisco, which is that when you introduce something to, when you bring it on chain, you inherently introduce a lot of friction just because of the nature of blockchain technology. And so what you have to offer to the end users when you're building a consumer product that's on chain is something that is 10x more novel and 10x more useful, like 10x something, because you're already introducing 10x friction. Ideally, it's even more than 10x. And so rather than trying to retrofit Web3 products into what works in Web2, I really want to see people experiment with something that is net new. And there will be failures for sure. And we see some of those with consumer products that are so out of left field and get a lot of hate on Twitter. But I love that. I celebrate that. Try things that are different than any other way we engage with a product that isn't on chain, and create the story around it. And I think fandoms are a great place to begin experimenting with that. The project that comes to mind is one that we're working with right now called Story Protocol. They recently announced their fundraising. I think their round was led by A16Z, who's one of our lead investors. And they're creating a platform that enables people to contribute to fan fiction, or this is one use case, just like how you contribute to a code base via GitHub with pull requests. So if you think about open source code, which is how things like our ERC 721 and 1155 standards were created, those people who asynchronously came in, saw a repo and just made changes to it, added comments, added a line of code, and the owners or the admins of that repo would accept or reject it. And what comes out of it is the collective genius, really, and the collective tension too around ideas. How can you now reward people for contributing to stories like the story of, there are some mainstream movies that were actually just fan fiction. 50 Shades of Grey was fan fiction, for example. Twilight, I think, was fan fiction. And now you can do that on chain, so you can track that contribution, reward it. Users can contribute from whichever chain they'd like. This is really the vision for Story Protocol, and I'm so excited about that. I think when I was a kid, I got a lot of my creative expression from running around barefoot outdoors, and also like writing stories and creating newsletters. This is when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old. Today, kids are on iPads all the time. I would love to see a future in which they're contributing to creating like fiction, for example, or creating artwork together, and being able to see and track their contributions. So Story Protocol is one to watch for sure.
Thank you for letting us know about that. I think that's really awesome. I think another, just takeaway from this particular hot topic is that you still see people building out the NFT marketplace. And a lot of people like to say like, oh, our NFT is dead. And, are people going to keep going into this direction? The answer is yes, it's here. It's not going anywhere. And people see the long-term play and the long-term value that these offer. I think too many people and companies that came in tried to come get the quick buck and tried to come and like ride a wave of interest without really building for what does the future impacts look like. But when you have people like Cristiano and some of these other larger players in the game coming and making these types of collaborations, it's because they see something that's going to be long-term valuable. And so there's a lot of value in this space. And I think people are going to keep finding ways to interact and be a part of it. And clearly, even with what you're doing over at LayerZero and Story, where others can participate and start to do these things and have a longer play with it, with being involved with the content that they're making, I think that's awesome and a really cool way to continue to be in this space.
The views and opinions expressed on Edge of NFT reflect solely those views and opinions of the show hosts and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of those links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.